need more time to grow. So we'll see out of this game. Remember, whoever loses this game will just be straight out of contention because of the way the last game went. So yeah, there's a lot of stakes in this game.
We're at day 4 now. We're at stakes day.
Yeah.
Fortunately, no stake.
Interesting results.
A lot of interesting results. I don't think. I think a lot of people were. I think a lot of people were surprised a little bit by SK over in Group A, but I'm not going to talk about Group A because we're in Group B, and already in the bans we have Szef versus G2V. As you've already said, a lot on the line, and to try and make things a little bit less stressful, they're going to take away the Lucian as well as the Quinn. So that Quinn taken off of Godbro, denying him already some of that carry potential. I do believe the one win that Szef is sitting on was when Godbro played the Quinn. Yeah. His ability to roam and find skirmishes and win out in those 1v1, 2v2s are definitely what helped Szef claim that victory. The Lucian being on as well, not really a surprise. I wouldn't... Given the way we've seen so much priority on Kate then, I would expect it to be picked or banned with Lucian off the table, as well as Sivir. I think Sivir is going to be a big priority this game as well.
Okay. So Graves has been picked up, or banned away, rather, from Szef, and then LeBlanc aimed at Godbro. So actually both of those bans so far, and the best performances we've seen from Godbro have been on those two champions. Actually, even in the promotion tournament as far back as that, has been on those champions, so it kind of pinches Godbro's champion pool. I think Godbro in general has had a fairly small champion pool compared to other mid laners, but the champions he does play are generally done pretty well, like his Azir, for example, which is still available, could be picked up here.
His Zillion.
His Zillion, maybe less so. But Kindred is going to be taken away from Inkos.
So a lot of jungle focus in this game. It's really interesting.
There goes the Azir.
But Ryze is still available. Would not be surprised to see a Ryze insta-locked here for Godbro.
Nidalee was still up, so going to be insta-locking that one. But that leaves over Ryze, you're right, which is obviously very high priority.
I feel like G2 have to pick up the Ryze here. It has to be their pick because it's too good to give away. Yeah.
Yep.
It's just like,
so
I'm sitting here trying to think like, what would be better than a Ryze?
Well, they're going to lock in the bot lane, so they're going to get the Sivir and the Alistar for the engage, so we're actually going to get them into fights this time as well. But now that means that Szef will be like, okay, I guess we'll just lock the Ryze, and that's exactly what they do.
So what Szef have said is, Syncroft, to be fair, this is a guy we haven't talked about much, but he has been the standout performer on Szef. I feel like he's been really solid. A lot of people weren't expecting him to do as well as he has, and he has been standing out. Now on the Nidalee, I think this is a great opportunity for him to carry. With Graves and Kindred gone, the next best is Nidalee. The next in terms of being aggressive, setting up plays, is that champion, and so they want to make sure that Syncroft gets it over Inkos over on the other side for G2V. So G2V have said, okay, we want to get an engage, because what screws over Poke? A Sivir and an Alistar. They can just quickly lock you down. We have so many ways to start fights, as we saw in the previous game, and so G2V are basically valuing this already engage, and now they have so much room available in their composition, because they don't need the engage. They've already got it locked in with their bottom lane.
So that seems to be the game plan. Game plan. Braum is going to be picked up as a support coming out from Szef, and then the Ryze as well, as we just mentioned. So what's still available? Because Elise is still available in the jungle, Graves is taken away, Kindred is taken away, and yeah, priority on the Nidalee. So actually that pinches G2V's jungle champion pool quite a lot. Gragas is actually still available. We've seen a lot of good Gragas play from Inkos, so Fizz is going to be locked in with the Lissandra, so that tells me that I guess Lissandra's going top, because we've actually seen a lot of, well, we've seen one game with Lissandra top in this tournament, which surprised us in the first place.
And it didn't work.
And it didn't work.
At all.
So now it goes into the top lane again. Fizz will go into the mid lane for Mini Duke.
Could be a top Fizz. We've seen top Fizz before.
Oh yeah, also swapping it up.
Like kind of like the AD, maybe they could. They're likely to stick with the AP, but you can be pretty good into tanks as well.
It's also blind though. That's
it's a bit risky, but it's a possibility. I mean, you do have an element of flexibility there.
Sure.
I mean, it's ambitious, but I have seen Fizz jungle in the past.
That was ages ago, though. That was like so long. That's like
attack speed.
Yeah, that's like 2 splits ago from like Airwax, and then. But it was good for a while.
The options
and so was
there.
Bruiser Fizz. So
yeah, the options there if they want it.
We've only really been seeing it in mid lane nowadays.
Yeah, it's even been banned a couple of games against some teams. I actually think one of them was against Mini. Oh no, that was against Caps. Caps, yeah.
Because they triple banned him.
Yes, they did. So
there's a Caitlyn and Poppy for top lane and ADC, so no real surprises there. At the start of the tournament, I was just like, we're going to see so much priority on Echo because he's still good, and we kind of did, but now he's 1-6, so he's been picked 7 times and not really doing too well. And actually, no, 2-6, we just saw a win.
We did just see a win.
Picked 8 times, so fantastic. And waiting on that last pick from G2. So anything weird going on with Szef's composition? I don't think so. It's going to be a Ryze mid lane, Poppy top lane, Nidalee into the jungle, and then, yeah, all fits.
Do you know what they're lacking a little bit of, though?
What's that? Is it going to be wave clear?
It's going to be engaged.
It's going to be engaged.
Something that you and I have been talking about pretty much throughout this entire tournament.
Yeah.
Supports are shifting right now. We're seeing a lot more range supports, and we're seeing a lot of Braum because he provides fantastic peel for your AD carry. He's just a great champion, and Alistar nerfs have put people off him a little bit. He's not so much a priority as he used to be. Top laners moving more to off tanks. They don't have a direct way of engaging. Sure, they have a way to fight, but you kind of need either a teleport flank or to come in with superior vision. And then the junglers are still your carry junglers, your Kindred, your Nidalee, your Graves. So you need to engage somewhere else. And G2 have got it covered with the Sivir. Szef do not. So I'm a little bit worried for Szef as to how they're actually going to start any fights.
So you were talking about the jungle Fizz, which hasn't been picked for a very, very long time. And I'm glad you mentioned it, because jungle Fizz. Interesting. So that's a nod into the top lane. That's one of like Sendo's big champions that we've seen throughout this tournament. Going to go up against Poppy. Fine matchup. Fizz jungle, we've seen 2 weird junglers in a row with the Echo and the Fizz.
That's what I like.
Where does Fizz fit in nowadays? Like, is he strong in the early game? Is he strong in the mid game? How's he going to do against the Nidalee? Like, what are we expecting from Fizz jungle?
I mean, Fizz has always been a good duelist. When you think of him in the mid lane, you typically want to put him into mages because of how easily he shuts them down. And if you just think of a straight up Fizz versus Nidalee matchup at level 6, the Fizz can win. Yeah. But it very much depends on how he decides to itemize, because he could go for the Runic Echoes, very similar to what the Echo did, or he could go towards the Blood Razor, going more towards attack speed and that sort of percentage health sort of build. Now remember, you don't have to get stacks anymore. You don't have to be Farmville Jinx. You don't have to be Farmville Fizz. You can still have that lane presence once you hit that level 6, and he's pretty slippery. And when you also have Lissandra in the mid lane, you could set up a couple ganks. But it's all about how he decides to itemize. So we need to keep an eye on that and what his build path is.
We do indeed. Well, we're into our final game of day 4 of the group stages here in CSQ. Szef+6 against G2 Vodafone are going to go head-to-head. The loser of this game will be just out of contention to get into those finals and getting into EUCS. So a lot on the line for both of these two teams. And Godbro is going to be try-harding in the mid lane. Both exchanged a bit of damage there. And the supports are also going to have a go at fighting, but they're not very good at it. But Super Ace, if he gets one auto back on Falco, that'll be good. Doesn't quite get it. Falco I've been very impressed by as a player, actually. Has done a lot of good work on Bard. Any aggressive support really has really impressed me. So and Sando, but honestly the team has definitely come together in those team fights, but it's everything kind of outside of that where they've found problems. So I like the fact that they've drafted a composition which is like, we're going to use the Sivir to get into team fights, and we're going to have a team fight, and then we're going to try and utilize our composition.
I mean, if we think about G2V as a team, they had a decent game against Mouse. Initially, they were kind of winning on day 1, and on top of that, they also had a decent game against Kick, which they didn't win. So the games that they have lost, they've still looked good. They've just kind of lacked that bit to get them over the edge. And I don't want to count G2V out yet, because I do think that the Fizz can be the playmaker that can do quite a lot for G2. But we'll have to wait and see. As a lane swap has come out from G2V, they want to avoid the Sivir into the Caitlyn matchup. Their priority is making sure that Sivir gets as much farming experience as possible, and it is a pretty brutal 2 versus 2. So I think this is the smart decision coming out from G2. Notice that Falco moves into the enemy jungle, wants to gain a little bit more control over that blue buff, make sure that it can go in the favor of G2V, and this is very much the standard lane swap from what we're used to seeing, at least from G2V's side, where they have the double jungle coming out from both Fizz and Gnar. Then what they'll do is the Fizz and Gnar typically would rotate into the enemy jungle and go do that second camp, but because of the changes to experience, what you're seeing more of now is they just send their top laner up to the turret. They do have to start sharing experience with their AD carry a little bit more, but it does allow you to start getting the siege onto the turret. And because Nick moved to the turret a little bit sooner than Sendu did, Szef will have the slight tempo advantage. but we need to keep an eye on how they go on from there. So, going to do a great job of clearing out the minion wave, which will help a lot with taking down these turrets. But if you just have a look at the two turrets, you can see that ever so slightly in favor of Szef+6 right now.
Indeed, and they should be able to take down this turret pretty quickly, but it's about what's going to happen into, I guess, phase 2 nowadays. Lane swaps have definitely changed because of the way that the meta has changed, or rather the patches have changed.
Yes. And the great thing about Caitlyn in particular here, right, is notice that Szef, their strong side of the map is the bottom half of the map, and that is the side of Dragon. So what they can do is they can use their AD carry, they can use their support and their jungler to take the Dragon, and then they can just send their top laner back and then rotate back to standard lanes. And then G2V have to make a choice. Do they then keep the non-standard lanes, or do they go back to standard lanes and go for the 2 versus 2? If they go for the 2 versus 2, they're back into the matchup that they didn't want to be in. Or whereas if they keep the standard lanes, then Szef are going to be happy because, well, yeah, sure, you traded towers, but we got a Dragon off the back of that. The reason Szef have decided not to go for that play is because it's the Cloud Drake, and nobody likes that guy.
No one likes the Cloud Drake. Unfortunate.
So we're just going to see the swap back. Interestingly, G2V actually shoved it all the way underneath the turret, so they'd already committed to sending their bottom lane back, and the lane swap is going to continue where you just basically have your bottom lanes at the side of where the tower still is. They're going to take that tower down, and then you're basically going to see back and forth with management of these waves. So it's very much going to be about now who's caught out of position, because that seems to be the habit of these challenger teams.
Indeed. Mid lane is kind of just being a farm fest, but Godbro has got a lot of damage onto Miniduke, so he's going to be the first one to go back, and Godbro is going to push out this wave. He was exchanging health for mana. Falco is going to walk into the top lane to make this the 2 versus 2. Sendo is going to be up against Nadia's here with Super Rays, so got the long range advantage, which is going to punish him. You can see how low his farm is right now, so he wants to try and soak up as much of this as possible.
So we're actually seeing a bit of a Korean lane swap here as the teleport comes in.
Yeah, this is less Korean because they're going to fight maybe more China. NIQ is going to jump in, and he's going to back away. Falco's only level 2, but Inkos is going to engage once again. Level 4 in this engagement. Nadia's going to return with some damage, get the proc off, and concussive blows. Finally, the TP now comes out from G2V, but is interrupted, and Sendo is going to fall here. One more auto attack, first blood in from Syncroft. Falco's going to fall. Winters by not so fast. He's going to go down 2-0 to Szef+6. Inkos is also hovering around to see if he can pick up maybe one kill off to the side onto Syncroft, but he should be good. He's going to hit him with the Trident, but I think that's the end of the engagement for now.
So the biggest problem you have here for G2V is that what you've done is you've put your AD carry on the side of the map where it can have absolutely no impact. You have a wave pushing in your favor. Send your top laner there because he has the teleport. He can join the fight, where your AD carry, he's already got a lot of farm. He's strong. You want him to be here. So G2, they end up getting collapsed on, right? They expect the teleport to come in, which is why they decide to go for the re-engage. If they just backed off here, they would have been fine, but they decide to fight. They think that with the teleport, they can go for it, but if you just keep your eyes on the minimap, you can see the TP coming in. Ryze gets the interrupt. He doesn't even have to use his flash to interrupt it, and because of that, G2V, they overcommit, and they give over 2 kills, as well as lose so much farm underneath the turret. Yeah, okay, your AD carry is getting a lot of free farm and was able to set up a freeze in the bottom half of the map, but in terms of the tempo, Szef are miles ahead.
That worked out very well for Szef. 1,500 gold ahead at just 7 minutes into this game. They picked up that 1 tower for 1 tower, of course, in the lane swap, and a lot of that gold went into Syncroft. So he's definitely been impressing us this tournament after his first game against LeChase, where he just bodied him in the jungle. And Syncroft now has got the platform to do well in this game. He's building towards that runic echoes in the jungle, has the Aether Wisp already. So going to be moving a little bit faster around the jungle. Inkos is going to stare down the crab and take him out, go back into his own jungle as well.
The thing is now, what you've got for G2V is they're back in standard lanes. They don't want to try and force a swap anymore. They don't know how to respond to the situation they've been put in. As Miniduke, he's going to take a bit of damage as Godbro just kind of walks that one off. But have a look at this. The advantage now in the favor of Nick. He has a slight experience advantage as well as a CS advantage because he's got the 2 assists. He's got a gold advantage as well. G2V's bottom lane has no turret to hide behind, so you have the potential for Szef to set up a flank dive. And on top of that, they're going up against a 2v2 lane that they wanted to avoid in the first place.
Yeah.
So Szef right now are in a perfect situation, unless they try to go for a gank.
Less than perfect right now. Zinkos is coming in, so is going to throw out the boomerang, and that's going to be the fight dissipating. Just once the last auto attack, and almost takes out Inkos. The heal has to come out from So, and Naudius, great clarity in that situation where he's 1 versus 3. Super Ace is going to back away, but Naudius is the one-man army. He's still chasing after Falco.
Wow, Naudius knew that Falco had nothing left to CC him. So was completely out of mana. There was nothing else that he was going to be able to do. So he, using his range, he's able to land those last 2 concussive blows. He would have gotten the kill if it weren't for those pesky kids using that heal to keep Inkos alive. So Szef just really pushing their advantage wherever they can right now, and they're just going to keep pushing on this bottom lane. Now that Inkos has no flash, there is very little risk of Inkos coming down to the bottom lane again, and things are just going perfectly for Szef in this lane swap.
Yeah, and also because there were people in the way of that Piltover, it reduced the damage.
Yeah.
If there was no one standing in the way, that would have been a kill for sure. Heal wouldn't have even saved him. But still, there's the flash, the knock up, the knock back into So, and the exhaust as well. Double exhaust come out. Inkos is looking for revenge. He jumps over the wall, lands the E. He's going to get the damage over time from the skirmishers. Super Ace is going to try and slow him down, but Inkos, he's got a lot of mobility, and So with the flash, and then Boomerang Blade will find the first kill. Looking for the long-range headshot out from Naudius. Perfect stutter stepping, but it's not enough to save him. The fish will seal his doom, but So wants the kill instead. He'll come out with the last auto attack, 2-0, and after that fantastic play, they just overextend and die. I mean, that just tells the entire story there, Venius.
Szef, your top laner has no teleport. Your mid laner has no teleport. Your bottom lane is really strong. You have a BF sword advantage, and you've just... Oh, hang on a second, teleport.
Nick's going to come in here along with Syncroft, going to knock him away. So is coming out here. Oh! The hammer will take him out. So it's going to try and back up. Inkos is there to try and save him. So it's so low, and that's the double kill out from Syncroft. Pretty easy to pick that one up.
Okay, so Szef, they're somehow able to get another pick back somehow. Oh, the action continues.
With the heroic charge over the wall into Mini Duke, but they're going to turn around. Instant frozen tomb, and he'll be sliced and diced for a kill. Inkos is going to back away. Godbro kind of does a loop around, doesn't want to quite go in against 3 people, but for Super Ace and Syncroft, that will give him the confidence. Mini Duke is in an awkward situation. Concussive blows will proc, and Syncroft will find his 3rd kill of this long engagement. Falco has even respawned, and he wants more. He's going to stay behind his turret for now, but that was a lot of kills going both ways.
So this pretty much sums up Challenger Series.
Yes, it does. Welcome to CSQ.
The lane swap was going really well. We were literally discussing as to this lane swap is going to be standard until someone gets caught out. Funnily enough, it was Szef who ended up getting caught out, and they were the ones with the massive tempo advantage. They got too greedy in the bottom lane, overextending, but we're going to go a little bit after that, and this is where G2's bottom lane are overextending. They've got no mana, they've got no summoner spells, and it's easy for Szef to just set up with the teleport. They get themselves the 2nd kill onto So, and at this point, you're thinking, Szef, all you need to do now is disengage. It's very easy. Syncroft gets a little bit greedy, clearing out that ward. They know that the Lissandra is coming there, and Syncroft, he's still hanging around looking for a fight. He then runs up, making it difficult for Szef to actually provide support, because Nick has to burn his flash, and because he's used his flash, he ends up dying. And then the action continues on, with Sendu TPing in to achieve absolutely nothing. You then get the flash coming in from Braun to try and get the lockdown onto Jankos, which is not realistically going to land, and then Mini Duke, he ends up falling as well. So I think that was a 3-for-1 in favor of Szef. But overall, it was messy coming out from both sides, as Godbro just showing his dominance again in the mid lane.
He's going to get comboed by Falco, but is actually doing pretty well in this 1-on-2, and will return a lot of damage onto Mini Duke there. 0-0-1 in this game, but there's just been farming up a Storm. Meanwhile, in the jungle, we've got to revisit him again. Syncroft 4-0-1. Godbro flashing after Mini Duke. He knows how much damage he can do when Falco, without the flash, can't even save him. Godbro with the 1-on-1 kill. This is why I am a believer in the Church of Godbro. But NIQ is going to chase after Inkos. When Falco's now coming in, looking for that ultimate that gets grasped by the Undying. Hammer shot comes down. Inkos is going to have to back away. Falco receives a spear. And there comes the ace in the hole, comes across. Falco is chunked down hard. But Godbro giveth, Godbro taketh. We'll see how the rest of the game goes for him.
So, you gave Rise away. Probably your first mistake. Second mistake is you gave it to Godbro, the guy that loves to try and carry and make these plays. Early on, before you hit that level 11 mark, it does have quite a long cooldown. Godbro has always been playing aggressively in that lane. Whenever he has the opportunity to take advantage of his passive, he does. Miniduke gets forced low, sticks around, decides to do a little bit of window shopping, and unsuspectingly, he gets pickpocketed from behind and ends up giving away his life. So Godbro able to pick that one up. It does use his flash, but the fact that he got a kill for it, I think he's going to be pretty happy about. And the fact that Inkos is yet to show his face in the middle lane, I don't think he's going to be too worried about it.
Nick is going to come back into the bottom lane. He's farming away. He's actually fairly behind farm of Sendo, who also shows his face in the bottom lane, just from how the swaps have happened. But he's also been involved in a lot of the kills that have happened in this game. 5 assists you can see there, so it's not too bad. We also see Nick on something that is not Maokai,
yes,
which is the Poppy this game, and he's going to have more damage for sure, but is still playing around his team as much as he would with the Maokai.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's always setting up for those TP flanks if he can. I think he's doing a good job. Nice to know that he can play other things than Maokai. Right now, he's yet to complete a major item. Has decided to pick up the Barmy Cinder, pretty cost-efficient item. Godbro, now the target.
Oh, he does so much damage with Nardius. The headshots are really starting to burn. And you can see that build from Nardius as well. The most efficient one, going for the BF sword first. And Falco's looking for the right engage to happen. Synchrov's chunking off Sendo before the fight begins. High on the rage bar, but needs to get into that mega form if he wants to try and land an ultimate, and then he is too far away. Falco's going deep. Not Godbro! Oh, over to the team! And that's going to be the ultimate coming out for Miniduke. The double kill instantly out for G2V.
That right there is the definition of a Falco punch, because he just got knocked straight into all the members of G2V. They were able to get their AoE down, and they quickly got 2 kills onto the solo laners of Szef+6. Really nice response from G2V, but Synchrof, he goes and gets himself a return kill, and now we understand why this guy got niddly.
Miniduke coming into the mid lane, Inkos as well, looking for that ultimate, like he's ticking down the flash, the Q, the ice shot for the kill, and Super Raze is also caught under this tower. He's getting chased down. Falco is tanking up the tower, and this game just got crazy with Nick coming in. He's going to interrupt the E. He can't get away. Miniduke gets juked, and he goes down.
Really nice stuff coming out from Shev right there to be able to get a return kill from Nick. He rotates down from the top lane, but let's have a replay of where all that action kicked off. Falco, this guy, they pop the on the hunt, they're looking for the engage. Synchrof on the backside is doing a fair amount of damage, and now Falco is being collapsed on by the side of Shev. He's trying to get some kind of damage down onto Synchrof, doesn't realize the situation that he's in, but he does notice the positioning of Godbro, goes to the flash headbutt, then Nick is right there next to him to try and act as peel, but with all that AoE damage, it is just not enough. So 2 quick kills go down to the side of G2V. We did have a couple of extra skirmishes happened after that, where Nardius ends up getting picked off. Super Raze tries to defend him, and because he got in the way, that actually resulted in his death because of the ice shard that came out from Miniduke. Expanding, going in even longer range if it hits a single target, ends up giving away that kill. But this game is turning into a bit of a bloodbath. Constantly looking for fights, constantly looking for skirmish. We said that G2V like to fight. And Shev, with a team composition that kind of struggles to engage, is more than welcome to have the team walk into them, but they need to use these skirmishes. They need to keep looking for these 2v2s, 3v3s, because that is where they're excelling, and when they actually go into these full 5v5s, that's where Shev is starting to give away these kills.
Well, we praised Falco before, but I think we need to praise him again. That play was absolutely fantastic. The pulverize and the step around and the headbutt was just such a good setup for the team, and I think you really hit the nail on the head there. G2V need those fights. They got into those fights, and now they're making it work. And even though they're just on the cusp of 4,000 gold behind, they look in much better shape if they can keep pulling off fights like that in this game. Falco's looking for another engage, and Inkos is coming from the bottom hand side. Nick lands a great ultimate though in response. Super Raze is so low, and so it's not going to quite find him. That was a heal out. Something healed him. That was Synchrof, I believe. Yeah, he's got so much AP right now, being 5-0-1. He keeps him alive.
Synchrof, could he potentially be looking for the pick?
Jumps over the wall, knocks him into the wall, and the javelin will take him out.
Crisp. That's what I want to call that play. They had the ward. They knew exactly where Inkos was. Only level 9 to the level 11 of Syncroft. And off the back of that, Szef are going to easily get themselves a turret as Godbro goes in.
Yeah, he was coming around looking for a flank, and Falco doesn't quite have the damage behind him to pick up another kill in return. But Sendo, with only a couple seconds left on this Mega Gnar, will find a 3-man ultimate into G2V. Can they capitalize? That's the question, because they've definitely capitalized on Sendo. Miniduke tries to come in, but he's got no more mana on top of his ultimate. Massive miscommunication from G2V.
Oh my word. The fact that there was no follow-up coming out from Miniduke on the fantastic 3-man ult that came out from Sendo was just extremely unfortunate. He died before Miniduke was even able to get his ultimate down. And as you said, you hit the nail on the head. That miscommunication coming out from G2V is what enabled Szef to take themselves a tier 2 turret. And look at this, we're only 18 minutes into the game.
There you go, there's the ultimate to start it all off, and Godbro just does so much damage.
He certainly does. Miniduke just waiting a little bit too long to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And to be fair, as you rightly said, Godbro doing a lot of damage. The Cloud Drake, the leftover dragon for Syncroft to take.
First one of the game at 18 minutes. It's so interesting though, when you have the first dragon, no one prioritizes it, but that means it doesn't respawn. So you actually get very few dragons before Elder Dragon comes out.
But everyone's saying they're like, knowing our luck, it'll be 3 Cloud Drakes. why would we want to invest in 45 movement speed?
Well then at that point, like 45 movement speed is really good when you get 3 dragons, but you never want to be around the area contesting it that much that becomes worth it. But if the first one gave 45 movement speed, it would be fantastic, because that's a lot of movement speed.
It's whenever you're in combat, right? Now, combat is technically classified as when you're hitting a minion. So whenever you go to lane to do literally what you're doing all the time, you lose that farm. So it's relatively good for rotating around, and maybe if your enemy team starts the Baron, but other than that, I
mean, rotations are key in League of Legends, I've heard.
Translations, isn't it?
Translations, that's true. But getting into those things is pretty good. So,
all right, so let's talk about Szef's options and G2V's options right now, because Szef's sitting in a healthy gold lead. Synkrov is 7-0-2. We did discuss about their lack of engage, but right now they don't need it because G2 is doing all that for them. And they're pretty much just relying on Godbro, that his positioning is very important because he is a lot of the damage of Szef. And as long as Synkrov is just constantly rotating around the map, trying to find picks and these skirmishes, using this vision to help Szef decide on when they want to make plays, then Szef are going to be in a pretty good position. They have the Caitlyn, they have the traps, and they have a fair amount of disengage. So what they can do is if they can just group up underneath the turret, they can put a lot of pressure down. And as long as Nick continues to split push in a side lane, they should be in a pretty healthy position to slowly work towards the base of G2V. Meanwhile, on the side of G2V, they somehow need to find the end-all, be-all of teamfights, because that's what they have. They have the Sivir, they have the Lissandra. They need to wait a little bit longer before they actually try and force these fights, because it is only 20 minutes into the game. These second items haven't even been completed for Miniduke or for So, and because of that, they're not in a great position where they can force a fight. The big problem for them now is we need to force a fight, but we can't. So what do? We kind of have to stall, and if you stall for too long, then Szef are literally just going to take everything from you.
Yeah, everything from you in this game. You can see how deep the vision is right now. Syncroft's looking for a pick. 7-0-2 this game has absolutely shown up. 9 out of those 11 kills in this game have been either set up or secured by him. And having a standout game for sure. That was first pick, remember, so a lot of faith in him, and faith well placed. Both teleports are actually going to be completed, but Sendo was actually so close to his ultimate. Falco's coming in, he's looking for the headbutt, but doesn't quite find it. Nick is going to get burnt out of this fight. There comes the Q, doesn't quite land onto Falco. Godbro's trying to get in range of Miniduke and look for the machine gun to activate. He's revving up, but he was instantly exhausted. Javelin doesn't quite connect onto Falco as he makes his way out of the zone. And Syncroft, he's still looking to poke. This is such a precarious position for G2V to be in.
Certainly is. This Godbro, he's going in again.
And Miniduke's actually the one going in. Nautilus explodes. That's going to be knocked back onto Inkos, but right into Syncroft. Falco comes in with a headbutt into the tower, and Super Rays is going to have to back away. 2-0, G2V coming out ahead in this trade.
Falco just seems to straight up hate Godbro with the way he's constantly tunneling his attention down onto him. Szef, they get themselves the initial pick. Sendu was the guy that we praised at the start of the cast, and he has been the most inconsistent this game, completely going against how we set him up for. I think that is the definition of a caster curse.
I think so.
And it's just very unfortunate that he continues this teleport in, because he ends up falling, he sits on a trap, gives away his life very quickly, but Szef decides to stick around. Miniduke with just a beautiful engage. He uses the claw to land the double binding into the double ultimate. Yes, Nick is able to get the disengage, but then no one suspects the hidden Falco. He comes in from behind, gets himself the flash pulverize into the headbutt, which nets G2V 2 quick kills. So this is all they need to keep doing, though. They have good team fighting, and if Szef misposition around these turrets, if they don't optimize their cooldowns properly, then they can end up quickly giving away these kills. So Szef need to pull back a little bit. They need to be a little bit wary, and they need to respect this team fight composition that G2 have available to them.
Yeah, really, this game could go either way. Like, the scoreboard does not tell the tale. Even though those 4 towers have gone down and there's a big gold lead over to Szef, it's not their game right now to win. Because G2V, they can find those fights, they can find those picks, and if Szef go a little too deep, then they'll quickly... This game could quickly turn on them, and Szef's problem historically has been closing out these games, and we're just seeing it again, time and time and time again.
Let's remember, though, we're only 23 minutes in. It does feel like this game longer, given the pace at which everybody is playing at. And we also need to bear in mind that in terms of the towers, heavily in favor of Szef right now. On the hunt gets popped.
Miniduke's going to be flashing after, doesn't connect the W there. Falco was going to try and follow up. He's only got half cooldown left on his flash, which is a big deal when it comes to his combos. So G2V are not in full fighting condition yet, and especially with Miniduke's flash being down, that's really big for in-team fight repositioning for his ultimate. We're locking on to Miniduke, but it's Falco who's eating up the bullet.
Okay, so the Ocean Dragon that is going to be spawning next is actually very valuable for both teams, because when Szef is setting up a poke or a siege, they're going to be doing a lot of consistent damage over time. So having that regeneration from the Ocean Drake is going to be very valuable for G2, but the same goes for Szef, because when they're setting up underneath those turrets, and like we had in the last situation, they get a pick and they lose a bit of health, having that sustain back means that if G2V try to go for a re-engage, it could end up backfiring because of the amount of sustain G2 gets. Right now, Sendu goes to the flash engage.
Great flash into the Nara ultimate. Inkos is coming in, looking for the ult, picks up the kill, should be able to pick up the kill, will be playful tricks ring away. Sinkos will find the first kill. Falco is coming in and detonates Nardius once again. He is not having a good time in these fights. A 1-for-1 trade so far, but the rest of Szef have arrived. Doesn't look like they're looking to re-engage, and they want this Ocean Dragon instead.
They're just going to pick that one up, take the trade 1-for-1. I think G2V are going to be pretty happy that they got the kill down onto Nardius. He's had to burn his heal, so he now has no summoners available. And look, speaking of Nardius, 1, 4, and 6 right now. We were having a discussion about the performance of Nardius, and I think we both feel that he hasn't really been much of a standout player for the side of Szef. And based on his performance so far, he really hasn't been able to change very much of that. But another Nardius, let's have a quick look at this replay once again. Nick decides to go aggressive onto Sendu, not respecting the position of the rest of G2. Nice flash from Sendu, expecting the disengage to come out. He also dodges the spear, which then sets up for Inkos to get enough damage down to get that kill down onto Nick. Or not, he actually is able to get away. I just remember Nardius is the guy that ends up getting collapsed on because he was a little bit too close to that tri-bush. So Miniduke coming in from the flank is the one that ends up picking up that kill. Yeah,
history didn't change there. It was just misremembered.
Because I was looking at it like saying that, well, Nick is dead here. I remember it being a 1-for-1. But yeah, unfortunately, it's the last game of the day.
It is.
So
a lot of games
I'm going to forgive myself.
Well, no forgiveness coming in from me. No, it was easy mistake to make because it looked like he was going to go down in that fight, but did manage to get away. 13-9 currently in this game. I mean, a lot of kills in just 25 minutes. And Sinkos is actually legendary, 8-0-3 in this game. Keep revisiting it, but
he's really good.
He's really good at League of Legends. Miniduke has been landing some pretty sick ultimates in the last couple of fights. Godbro, as we said before, Godbro giveth, Godbro taketh, and has not had the greatest positioning in these last fights. As
so far, he's giveth more than he's taketh.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Szef has found it very difficult in these last couple of team fights against G2V, but it's pretty much what we were saying in Champions Select, right? Like, if G2V find their perfect fights and they find a way to play the composition, then that's how they're going to win this game. And again, they're in this gold deficit. And every single time I see the gold deficit, it opens up more and more. Because Szef+6 are soaking up a lot of these minions, soaking up a lot of gold. But Synchro's just trying to hit the ward. G2V keep winning these fights.
They do, and this is what their composition needs to do. We haven't talked much about the Fizz because he hasn't, other than what his impact down the bottom lane, he hasn't really been doing that much. Moving into the team fights, he's going to be doing a lot more, especially with diving onto the back line. And given that he's gone for the sort of full AP build, we'll have to see how that transitions. Is actually Szef+6 starting off this Baron.
Super A's is going to try and block up some of this. Falco comes in with the down smash. Incots as well over the wall is gonna try and get the steal off.
They're gonna finish it.
Falco wants to come in here, but they're actually zoning away from the Baron. Nick comes in with the TP. He's gonna go right onto Falco. That's gonna be ultimate going down on him. He is dead. Incots is gonna be exchanged, and that's the jungler from G2V. Arguably a more important target. Super Ace is gonna be leading the charge, so is gonna have to flash away. Sendo, not quite in range of the Winter's bite. Mini Duke was looking to go in there, but that was a 1-for-1 trade. Jungler dead for G2V.
So remember, Szef, they have no way to reliably engage, so they have to play around these neutral objectives. By starting off the Baron, they feel like they can bait G2V in, or at the very least they can sneak that objective away, because once they have that Baron, it sets up easily for them to start sieging onto these turrets. They do manage to get G2V to come into them, but the way in which they set up that fight was not as well coordinated as they would have liked. Have a look at Super Ace. It's quite obvious what Szef+6 are trying to do. He ends up getting caught out, but because he's Braum, he takes years to die. Szef are a little bit indecisive as to whether or not they want to finish the Baron or disengage. The moment the teleport comes in is when they decide, right, let's disengage. But look how far away Nick is from the rest of his team. He doesn't have the support that he needs, and the zone control that comes out from Mini Duke is enough to keep Szef from actually committing to that fight. But then Inko on the side, he also is just wrong place, wrong time, and he ends up giving away his life as well. So 1-for-1 overall, no Baron for either side, but that might change now.
We're just going to have another fight. Super Ace, he's getting potentially caught out, but look at this mini trap line. Falco's going to come in here, land the combo onto Godbro, and he'll get slammed against the wall, right into a wallop, and the chain CC. Minidu's going to come out here, look for another W. Godbro is going to go into his Guardian Angel. Syncroft jumps into 5 players, finds the first kill. Nick is looking to support, rams Sendu into the wall and finds the second kill on to G2V, and now they're chasing after Nara as well. This has gone disastrous for G2 Vodafone. There's the ultimate. Take the shot. Nardis takes him out.
Wow, so Syncroft was actually the guy that turned that team fight around. In a 1 versus 5, he was not afraid to dive into the middle of all of them.
Ooh, that was too close for comfort.
But I mean, think about how many resources were invested into just getting Godbro's GA down. So many ultimates, so many flashes, and because it took so long, the rest of Szef+6 were able to regroup and go for the re-engage. We are going to get a replay of that, but Szef, they're able to pick themselves up the inhibitor, and that is just a massive turnaround for Szef. So watch this. Szef think, oh no, we've been caught out. Super Ace tanks up a lot of the damage, and so already we've got On the Hunt popped. The engage from Falco is popped. The flash ultimate from Sandu is gone. The ultimate from Fizz is gone. The ultimate from Lissandra is gone. And now the rest of Szef+6 has rejoined the fight with Godbro sitting in his GA. Look at Syncroft, 1v4 on the backline, gets himself a kill, also has the Zhonyas, and then Godbro is just able to rejoin the fight. So just too many resources invested into such little game from G2. And we just have to wonder into the shot calling of all of this, because that really wasn't a smart decision.
Yeah, but it looks so good. They had all this CC layering, and then it just kind of went...
But onto a Braum? Is that really what you want to be doing?
That's true. It was onto 2 targets, but then Syncroft kind of jumped in with the pounce and the swipe, and it's not often you see a Nidalee doing that and staying alive, but because he had the Zhonya's Hourglass and is so damn fed on this game, it was fine.
And the Rylai's and Abyssal.
Yeah, he's tanky.
Abyssal Zhonya's, man. It's too good.
Yeah, with some health as well. All that effective health.
Indeed. So, Dragon just spawned is the next objective for both these teams. It is actually the Infernal Drake. So we've had 3 different dragons this game. See, this is why you should take air dragons early. So that's going to be the next point of contention. At this point in the game, it is actually quite valuable. That 8% additional AD and AP will help you a lot in terms of your damage output. But Szef, they've just said they want to go down the mid lane. Not entirely sure why. Maybe it's to force a fight.
Falco, he wants it, but I don't think he wants it anymore. Concussive blows lands onto him, and he's like, nope. Not anymore. Inkos is coming in for the flank. Sendo is very close to going into Mega Gnar. He's going to toss out the boomerang, but Szef just kind of walk away.
So have a look at the side lanes. There's a big wave pushing in favor of Szef in the bottom half of the map. Super Minions pushing down the mid into G2V's base. And Nardius is actually going to go get that big wave in the top lane. I think this is not the best decision, because if a fight kicks off, there is no way for Nardius to join this exchange. G2V, this is a great opportunity for them to just force the dragon, because one of the main damage dealers of Szef is nowhere near the rest of their team.
Well, Sendo, he's looking for the ultimate. Well, he got the ground, but that's a big ultimate down from this next fight. Miniduke, he's going to jump away. Falco is getting put into that trap. He's going to pop the ultimate. Inkos, he's still looking for a target. We're being zoned out by Super Rays. Nick going to pop his ultimate over towards Falco. Just help him back to base. Here you go, buddy. Syncroft is looking for a spear onto some of the retreating targets from G2V. But I think after all of that, it's just going to be another dragon going over to the Polish lineup.
I think Szef was smart not to overcommit too much. Just forcing G2 back is going to result in that free neutral objective for them. They're going to now get that additional damage, and that is going to be their third Drake of the game. So they have one Cloud Drake, one Mountain Drake, and one Infernal Drake. So they have quite the storm brewing in their buffs right now. Elder Dragon is going to be next on the menu for them. And Szef are just looking dominant. But this comes back to a point that you and I were discussing earlier. How are they now going to be able to close things out? Syncroft has been looking phenomenal on this Nidalee. I'm really starting to understand why they put so much priority on it and why they decided to ban away that Graves and the Kindred. Wouldn't be surprised moving forward if Syncroft was denied ever having that Nidalee again, because he has been playing out of his mind. But Baron going to be, I believe it is alive, perhaps the next point of contention, as Miniduke, he's in a bit of trouble.
He's going to jump away. He's got the glacial path, but problem with the Fizz this game is it hasn't been bad, but it hasn't been good either. It hasn't done anything standout. And when like Ragos was still available, Elise was still available, like Inkos is strong on his champions. I don't think you have to dig deeper into your champion pool, try something a little different. I don't think it's necessary. Because he's just not able to really deal with the Nidalee. He's not able to do enough. Falco comes in, he's looking for the true combo, and Sendo is going to get knocked away. Nick is coming in with his own ultimate. Super Ray is going to jump to his ally Syncroft there. Miniduke has gone into Zhonya's, but he's got no team to save him. Glacial Path is going to help back away. Sendo is going to hop to safety, or relative safety, but that's 2 kills in quick succession to Syncroft and the rest of his team.
So it looked like G2V once again trying to force this fight, but because of the Zhonya's coming out from Syncroft and because of how tanky Nick was, they weren't able to burst him down quick enough. Fight's not over yet, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that from G2V. Oh, they saw a bunch of people actually back away towards the Baron. That's why they were trying to fight these 2 people still zoning. It's going to be a 3 versus 2 real quick while Sando pops his own ultimate, takes the first kill. Godbro is also going to get chunked down and taken out, or at least dropped into his Guardian Angel. Everyone splits away, but it's still the Baron going over to Szef+6, so no matter what happens, they're going to get something from it, and that's going to be the Baron.
Szef played that pretty smart. They knew that Super Rays wasn't going to be enough to keep them away from the Baron, so they used Godbro. They sacrificed his life to set that one up. So have a look at this from the engage. Miniduke comes in from the flank along with Inkos, and things are looking pretty positive, but Inkos, he doesn't hard commit because he sees Godbro, and he ends up getting dropped down. Meanwhile, Syncroft, using that Zhonya's, and given how tanky he is able to get away from that incredibly hard engage of G2, and it's basically just got to a point where the item differential is so big that even though G2 are finding relatively good fights, it just isn't enough to secure themselves any kind of solid advantage. So Godbro just hanging around, maybe trying to find a potential fix, but mainly just trying to keep G2 away from this Baron. Yes, they end up giving away 2 kills as well as his GA, but the fact that he's picked up that Baron means that Szef can finally break further into the base of G2V.
Yeah, and honestly, just because they managed to keep it on the 3 members, they can go for the split push game as well. Like if you get it on 2 people, one people, you can you just have to group as a team, and then you can only push 1 lane and go for a fight. But when you have it on 3 people, you can actually split push. I don't even know if they need to at this point with the exposed inhibitor. Yeah, Sendo, he's getting some good ults off when it's kind of like a fish in a barrel, but other times he's just not really hitting them when he needs to. And it's sad because G2V, we've seen a good fight from them. We've seen multiple good fights from them. They just can't like seal the deal.
No, they certainly cannot. Using the claw as a bit of zone control, being like, yo, get the weight from my inhibitor. not actually putting Nick in a side lane. Even though he does have the teleport, they'd much rather just group as a 5. Syncroft level 17, by far the highest level in the game. On the hunt, gets popped.
Well, G2V are just going to try and find a fight. Mini Duke jumps in. Incoter's coming in as well. Godpro is getting burnt down. Falco is also popping his ultimate. Nick's going to slam Incoter into the wall. Goes into his Guardian Angel. Mini Duke is the first casualty of the fight. So is getting chased down. Who's going to bite the bullet? It's going to be Incos. I'm not saving you today, buddy. And Sendo is going to dodge this spear, but it looks like it's going to be curtains coming down on G2V, losing 3 members here. Syncroft and the rest of his team looking to close in for the win, waiting for that mini wave to come out.
With the Baron buff, Szef should be able to close this one out, get themselves the 2-2 that they so desperately need, and knock G2V out of the qualifier.
Oh, Sando, at the very end of that, couldn't even land the ultimate onto anyone as they were all lined up, and so he will not be able to defend this push, and G2V will be eliminated, while Syncroft and Szef+6 will still have their chances at making EUCS still alive.
Impressive stuff coming out from Szef+6. Now, I want to be delicate with my words because the lane swap was positive.
Yeah.
However, it was also a big misplay from G2 and how they responded to the lane swap. It gave a very easy kill or number of kills over to Szef early on. Szef were pushing their advantage all across the map. They were playing the advantage that they had really well.
Yep.
And then they overextend, they give away kills, and then it slowly started to descend into what we know as the Challenger Series.
Yes.
And while, as we progressed more into the mid game, we saw a little bit smarter play coming out from both teams. You saw G2V finally finding the fights that they wanted. Szef overcommitting a little bit and using that team fight comp that G2 had to just punish Szef was really smart from them.
Yeah.
But in the end, Szef just couldn't find the fights. They were too far ahead. Synkrov has to be my MVP by far and away because even though they ended up, or Szef+6 ended up getting caught out quite a few times, it was never Synkrov. 10, 0, and 9 on this Nidalee. Absolutely phenomenal Nidalee player. Had so much impact in the early game. His mechanical skill was great. And I just can't forget the fact that he went 1v3 in that big team fight and was able to get a kill off the back of it. Just really, really impressive player.
I actually think he jumped into like 4 people or like 5 people. He was just like, it was a lot of people and he was like by himself. Yeah, great play from Syncroft, honestly. And it really was just like Syncroft and friends in that game, really. He was like, he just kind of put the team on his back. Godbro kind of farmed up and did a lot of damage. He played well.
Better than the Zillion.
NIQ, better than the Zillion, yeah. But I think he could have played like Karma and done better than that. Actually, mid lane's Karma's kind of good right now. But NIQ in the top lane playing something that is Maokai, still doing really well in the Poppy. Saw a lot of kills from him. Or at least assists on kills. Actually, he lost a lot of farm just to help out his team a lot of the time. And Nardius is kind of up and down, right, as a player, because we saw that sick play in the bottom lane where he like aggressed 1v3 and then almost got a kill. And then at the same time, kept on getting killed himself. But at the same time, like they did have like a Lissandra and a kill the AD carry like composition, so can't hold it all against him.
Yeah, the Fizz didn't work out as well as the Echo did.
Wanted,
but I do want to give a shout out to So. While Sendu wasn't as consistent as he normally is, So definitely played like we're used to seeing. This guy's positioning was really good, 6-1 and 4. His farm was very impressive. He was ahead of Nardius pretty much the entire game, and I mean, this is something that I have noticed throughout the Challenger Series. There are a lot of standout individuals that are slowly rising. So, you know, even though G2V things haven't worked out for them, they are now knocked out. There's still a lot of talent, and maybe we'll see that talent moving into the future.
That's true. And the same with Szef, because they're still alive, but it's been rough, right? And their style has also changed as a team. But as we were talking about standing implications, let's take a look at the rest of those standings with the penultimate day of the group stages complete. Let's take a look at Group A first. So LP with their loss today means they're 3-1. They're going to be alongside Misfits right at the top, and then all the way at the bottom, Black and Melty out of contention. But SK and Trick are still going to be fighting tomorrow.
Yeah, so tomorrow's games are going to be very important. But That's enough for Group A. Let's move on to Group B with Forge currently sitting at the top of the bracket with 3-1 after their defeat against Kick today, who have now moved down into second place. In the middle of the table is ESG and Shev, and unfortunately Miles and G2 have been knocked out of any chances of moving into the Challenger Series.
Yeah, probably not the way that we thought that group was going to go, really. Team Forge being at the top now after kind of bouncing back now that he was into the lineup. So really cool to see how he's changed the dynamic from like a really slow-paced team to the polar opposite, where they actually just go fast and hard with the Alistair engages all the time.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with all of the teams, really. Melty has been my favorite team of the day, though. The fact that they were able to get
against LP.
They crushed the dreams of LP, denying them that guaranteed spot. But we will be concluding the group stages of CS qualifiers tomorrow, so make sure you join us then, where Low Priority and SK Gaming will open up the day, and that is a extremely important game that you should definitely tune in to watch.
Yeah, it should be very good. That's match 1, remember, so don't miss it. And as always, if you missed any of today's action or want to take a look at the schedule for tomorrow and the rest of this tournament, head over to lolesports.com. And with all of that, that will draw another day to a close. So from myself, Vedius, and the rest of the Challenger broadcast team, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you at the same time, same place tomorrow.